My name is Nadine Mirza, and I'm a postgraduate research student based at the University of Manchester, where I'm currently working towards an MRC-funded PhD and working on the DOME project. I am based at the university's Centre for Primary Care, and I'm one of a small group of individuals that forms the Division of Ethnic Minority Research in Primary Care. Today I'm going to give you a little taster of the research I've been involved in for nearly 3 years now, which, among many things, looks at what exactly is wrong with the tests we're currently using for diagnosing dementia when it comes to those from different ethnic backgrounds. Earlier this year, I received the Sterling Award from the British Society of Gerontology for my poster presentation on why do we need to culturally adapt cognitive tests. And this is actually the reason this video has come about and has brought some public attention towards this research. So cognitive tests are a big piece of the puzzle when it comes to diagnosing those with dementia, along with brain scans and interviews with the person and their friends and family members. The questions of these tests are specifically designed to assess the different abilities of the brain, or its cognitions. This includes things like memory, language, attention, fluency, or visuospatial abilities. The majority of cognitive tests we currently use today were originally developed for English speakers in Western countries, more specifically European countries. And that's why it's not really surprising that these questions really only apply to these specific English-speaking European populations. Questions will often include things like name the current President of the United States of America or the first female Prime Minister of the UK. Or you might have an image of a suit, which is a Western formal dress with arrows pointing to different parts of the suit, and you have to name the different parts. You may be asked to give the date according to the Western calendar, or you might have to list as many words as you can that start with a specific letter of the English alphabet. Or you might be asked to correctly pronounce and memorize a UK-based address. The questions of these tests are scientifically designed to highlight how your different cognitions are performing, whether certain cognitions are deteriorating or staying the same. But because the nature of these questions, they really only apply to the specific populations they were designed for, and they don't really work for those who come from different language or ethnic backgrounds. When we do try to use these cognitive tests on those that come from different ethnic backgrounds or non-English speakers, we see one of three things happening. Firstly, we see a high rate of false positive scores, which means that people might perform badly on these tests because of their language or their culture, but this is attributed to dementia and they are saddled with a dementia diagnosis. Secondly, the opposite might happen, which is false negative scores. So the person actually does have dementia, but bad performance on these tests is attributed towards the culture and language barriers. And thirdly, you have incomplete cognitive tests, which means that you can't get an official diagnosis of dementia and the individual can't be signposted to further help, support, or care management. All of this highlights why we urgently need cognitive tests that culturally match individuals and provide accurate and early diagnosis. And that's a part of my research, which broadly looks at dementia and culture, but more specifically looks at South Asian culture. Up until recently, the popular method was to simply translate these cognitive tests into a target language. But as we can see, translation is not enough with some of these questions. We need to make amendments that account for culture, which, apart from language, also includes things like beliefs, values, social practices, general knowledge, historical knowledge, one's country of birth, and of course, ethnic background. A popular example of this is the kangaroo. In one of the tests, this image appears and an individual has to name it correctly. When we conducted a focus group of 14 cognitively healthy elderly British South Asians, over 40% of them could not correctly identify the kangaroo because it's not really native to any of their home countries, nor was it visible in any of the media that was accessible to them. They simply didn't know what it was, and translation was not going to fix this. So after an extensive process that involved a systematic review, many focus groups, and consensus with experts in the field, we replaced the kangaroo with a goat, and this was far more understandable to individuals. Then there's the example of the pig, which really shows that it's not just about making sure that these cognitive tests are understandable, but also accounting for culture when it comes to how acceptable something is or one's personal beliefs. In the same focus groups, individuals saw the image of the pig and they were able to correctly identify it, but many found it uncomfortable or disrespectful and felt that they would want this removed. After the same long and robust process, we replaced the pig with a turtle, which was considered far more acceptable and neutral. These transitions from kangaroo to goat or pig to turtle might seem very simple, but actually a lot of thought goes into developing versions of these cognitive tests. We have to make them culturally understandable and acceptable to our target population while still making sure the individual questions are doing what they're supposed to be doing, assessing specific cognitions. This is one of the aspects of my research, DOME project, which is working towards improving access and diagnosis of dementia for those with different cultural or ethnic backgrounds. Naturally, cognitive tests are a significant component of this, and we're just trying to make sure that everybody has access to an accurate diagnosis of dementia.